Hey yo, what's up dudes? I want to try a new type of video where we analyze a tutorial from one of the gods, in this case, PHASEONE. Let's check it out and see how this goes.
Yo, what's up guys? My name is PHASEONE. I'm going to be taking you through all the metal stuff that I do. I've had a lot of questions about that, so I'm going to run you through it. Let's do it.
Sweet.
So the song I'm going to be showing you.
I haven't actually watched this one yet.
The vocalist Spencer. If you haven't heard it, it sounds a little something like this.
I'm basically just going to tell you guys whatever comes to my mind and let you guys know what I'm thinking and what tips would be the most useful to me.
So I'm just going to run you through all the different sections that I do. I'll take you through the guitar parts, the bass and the sub, and then all the drums separately. So we'll start off with the guitar. So this is a recorded guitar that's kind of, I've ended up chopping up the audio by itself. You'll hear it's quite tinny. It's quite, has a lot of high frequency on it, which is done purposely. Normally metal guitar wouldn't have so much high frequency on it, but because I'm blending, I guess, the metal section with, I guess, dubstep or EDM, these sections have to almost compete with the drops and everything. So the style of production is a little bit different to what a normal.
Yeah, lots of mid-heavy sounds that we're working with. So when we're adding the mid-heavy guitar, we need to make sure there's high-end too, and we got to clean up the mids.
Metal producer would do. So there's quite a lot of layers here. So let me show you this. This is the recorded guitar. And you'll see there's pretty minimal processing. We've just got a bit of multi-band compression on there, a bit of EQ taking away. I've got a group.
Nice EQs.
Processing as well.
Really taming frequencies.
A bit of amp on there just to add a bit of high end, tiny bit of OTT. It's pretty basic, and then there's
that OTT is pretty cool.
Yeah, just to cut off the end of the sound. So it's really minimal processing. I think as long as you get a good recording of the actual instrument to begin with, the less processing you have to do, the better, to be honest. So that's the recorded guitar. I'm also layering it with a synth, and the synth is called...
That amp on the guitar though, that was honestly a big key. It's on dual mode, so it's going stereo. It's on blues, but it's only on 7%. But the OTTs after it's really bringing out that distortion, which is sick. The blues is clean distortion too.
A good recording of the actual instrument to begin with. The less processing you have to do, the better, to be honest. So that's the recorded guitar. I'm also layering it with a synth, and the synth is called Heavier 7-string. It looks a little something like this.
Yeah, it's fresh.
It's a beast of a plugin. It's so much that it can do. You can get some metal sounds out of it. Let me play that by itself.
It looks fresh. Well, I need to get that.
So it's pretty much like a legit guitar. So I end up layering that with the real guitar just to get some extra.
Layer digital with analog.
Really.
See, that's awesome. That's what I see a lot. People layering original guitar with, a heavier, stronger guitar. Because with this electronic music, we're just trying to get things as heavy as possible.
So together, you'll hear it kind of.
Gosh, so dirty.
So you get the kind of nice tone out of this one, but then I've definitely boosted the higher end on this one just for that crispiness.
Crispiness.
Let me just mute the vocals for a second.
See, that distorted high end layer of the OG guitar is bringing out that high end, and then this other layer is basically super mid and beautiful.
Also, I've got the same plugin doing this little lead thing here.
Sick. So I guess it's basically an ARP,
It's pretty legit to me.
Sick ARP. going up and down the scale.
Listener, I guess, like, if you're a guitar,
Cool little fills.
you'd be like, that sounds interesting. But for the purpose of this, I think it works. Like it's still electronic music at the end of the day.
Yes, sir.
So it works perfectly for this. I've just done some subtle automation using a utility on the gain. Just as you can see here, all that is basically whenever.
Is that a sidechain? Yeah.
It's basically like my own little version of a sidechain, just to allow that tiny little bit of room for the kick to shine through without.
Oh yeah. Now I see why my friend Grim uses utility sidechain.
Sounding too.
Because PHASEONE does it, dog.
That's very subtle, so that's nothing.
Who else does that? I think Skrillex does that.
Then there's
or someone else.
Recorded bass. Basically,
all sidechain is good sidechain, as long as you have a sidechain.
Playing the same thing, but it's a bass guitar. Related a few different.
Ooh, super layered bass.
The processing on that, I've kind of I've actually cut it off close to 100 hertz for a reason, because I'm also layering a sub underneath that as well.
So he cuts all the sub frequencies from the bass guitar, because the bass guitar is really just like a mid heavy sound,
which is doing the low end. So the bass guitar itself is getting cut off at just before 100 hertz.
Cleans it up too a lot.
Room for the sub to kind of take over that low end, because at the end of the day, this is still EDM, and we need this section to compete with the bass drop. So like normal metal producing, they wouldn't normally use a sub, but for this it's EDM, so we gotta make it loud and
right. We need a separate sub, loud sub, to control the lows.
Yeah, and then the sub.
We're really filling out the frequency range. If you see here, like fully filling out the lows and the mids, and then we're cleaning up because we're stacking so much mids. So we got to clean it up, notch out some frequencies, and then we'll get a full sound.
I'm just kind of rolling off. It's all just taking over that low end
with minimal processing. You know, there's just a couple OTTs and not extreme, like heavy fat racks.
Yeah. So yeah, altogether, the guitar sections sound like this.
So clean.
A lot of people ask me about my drums. It's all about this good sample choice. Half the stuff I use these days is stuff that I was using when I used to produce metal bands.
Good sample choice.
And my bands.
And Splice is amazing for that. You know, just finding good packs. You know, people keep layering samples and make better samples, and you can do the same.
This is my metal transient.
It's awesome.
Which is basically just snares and toms. I add I use this plugin a lot. Transient Master. It just kind of makes those.
Transient Master is good. Native Instruments.
A lot more.
I showed a Max for Live one I put in my last video.
Punchier and brighter and louder.
Always use with those transients.
Same with my dubstep drums. I use this a lot, just subtly, just to get a bit more attack out of it. Then this is like, so that's nice and punchy. These drums now.
These toms sound really like real and live. Like they're recorded in real life.
Everything with samples mostly. That's what I'm used to. It works for me. It's more visual. I've got for my drums on this particular track.
Audio's
this channel pans to the left a little bit, and this one pan to the right a little bit.
He's panning up, making sure the stereo field is full.
So it just kind of gives that space in the stereo sphere. And then I've got
the stereosphere
group called metal.
That's right. It is a stereosphere because really it's not just left to right. It's like a globe. That's what I learned in audio engineering school. Like panning left to right is, you know, panning, but then you got reverb and then you have volume. So like volume is how high it goes, and then reverb is like the depth of like how big the space is. So you could really just have something sound like it's in a small space, but then all of a sudden you make that decay time huge, and you open it up. Like the end of drops on a lot of house songs or trap songs, they open it up with reverb, and all of a sudden it sounds like you're opening up the universe, basically. So yeah, that stereosphere is amazing.
too, which is basically more the overheads and cymbals and everything. I've got like some snare tails here as well. But yeah, this by itself just kind of sounds like this. It's kind of like what you'd get like if you were to record an actual drum kit, you'd have overhead mics. It's kind of that. That's kind of what I'm going for, like a bit of like room sound. Like this has like a bit of reverb on there as well. But yeah, but it always comes down to sample choice. Like it took me a long time to get like.
So he's adding reverb to some of the hats to add depth on top. Like he's mentioning the overhead hats. When you record, you use overhead mics to record these, and it creates a fill. What he's talking about, but the reverb will create that fill. That's what he's doing with some of those hats. The other hats have less.
Basically build this drum kit that kind of sounded like a legit like metal drum kit to me, and I basically use the same samples for most of my songs that I use like metal sections in. Yeah, just like search hard for samples, and if you find a good sample, the less processing you have to do to it.
Honestly, we got to study some drum kits and make sure that we know what rides and crashes and sounds are supposed to be there, because our ears have to be trained.
To begin with, like the better, really. This is what it sounds like all together.
So clean, it's crazy.
And then there's like the chorus as well, which is a bit more melodic. Yeah. And yeah, also
very minimal sidechain, not too much.
Because it.
Ooh. That plug-in again.
Yeah,
7 strings.
Literally just type in the MIDI and
just type in the MIDI. Yeah.
Modulations you can change, like the palm muting and everything, by using these things. The modulation is set to like the palm muting pressure and everything, so definitely worth checking out. It's a very cool plugin, and I've used it a little bit on this album. Most of it's just normal guitar, but yeah, I've used this plugin quite a bit on this album, so check it out. That's just a bit of insight into how my metal sections work, because a lot of people have asked me, so there you go. Till next time, guys, this is PHASEONE signing out.
It's really good to learn about these metal drums and stuff, because this music is getting heavier, and to match the heavy intros with the heavy drop is just sick. We just got to study basically how they've been doing it with metal, and then try to replicate that into our productions. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe. My name is Dripment. We keep doing this. Let's run it. I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Brace yourself for the darkness.